The architecture of modern financial extraction is not built on better products or superior service, but on a fundamental exploit of the human operating system. We are biological entities engineered for a world of caloric deficits and predatory threats, operating in a digital environment of infinite abundance and safety. This evolutionary mismatch creates a vulnerability, a backdoor in your cognitive firewall that capital has learned to breach with surgical precision. When you enter the digital marketplace, you assume you're a customer browsing a catalog. You are incorrect. You are a combatant entering a kinetic environment where the terrain itself is designed to flank your logic centers and route your decision-making capacity into a kill box. The weapon of choice in this asymmetric warfare is not desire, but the simulation of famine. We call it urgency marketing, but that is a euphemism. It is a simulated resource crisis designed to trigger a metabolic panic response, forcing you to liquidate your wealth for assets you have not properly vetted. This is diabolical invest, and we're going to dismantle the mechanics of the famine simulation protocol. To understand how this machinery functions, we must first discard the notion of shopping. When you interact with a conversion-optimized interface, you're stepping into a Skinner box that has been weaponized by behavioral economists. The primary objective of this system is to collapse the time horizon of a user. In finance, we understand that time is the ultimate hedge against risk. Time allows for due diligence, for price discovery, for the cooling of emotional impulses. Therefore, the vendor's primary strategic imperative is the annihilation of time. If they can remove the temporal gap between stimulus and response, they eliminate the consumer's ability to calculate value. They achieve this through the systematic induction of artificial stress. Consider the biological imperative of a chaotic environment. In the wild, if a resource is scarce, the organism that hesitates dies. The organism that acts on impulse survives. This is hard-coded into your basal ganglia. The digital economy has mapped this neural pathway and built a toll road on top of it. Every red notification, every ticking clock, every flashing alert is a raw injection of cortisol designed to bypass the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, and speak directly to the frightened animal beneath. The first pillar of this siege architecture is the fabrication of temporal boundaries. In the physical world, time is a constant. In the digital world, time is a variable that can be manipulated to serve the house. The countdown timer is the most crude yet effective implementation of this principle. It is a visual representation of entropy, a signal that opportunity is decaying. However, in the vast majority of digital contexts, this decay is an illusion. The deadline is not tied to logistics, supply chains, or fiscal quarters. It is tied to your cookie session. You are observing a personalized apocalypse that exists solely for you. Trigger the moment your IP address shook hands with the server. This is the democratization of the ticking time bomb trope, applied to the mundane act of purchasing software or booking a room. By framing the transaction as a fleeting window, the interface forces you to price the asset not based on its intrinsic utility, but on the fear of regret. The loss aversion principle dictates that the pain of missing out is psychologically twice as potent as the pleasure of gaining. The timer weaponizes this asymmetry. You're not paying for the product. You're paying to silence the anxiety that the timer has induced. It is a protection racket where the threat is generated by the same entity selling the safety. Let's move deeper into the mechanics of mimetic rivalry. Humans are not independent thinkers. We are social triangulators. We determine the value of an object based on the desire of others. If a resource is ignored, it is worthless. If it is contested, it is invaluable. The social proof notifications that plague modern interfaces, alerting you that 14 other users are viewing this listing, are designed to manufacture a virtual coliseum of rivals. This is the weaponization of René Girard's mimetic theory. You do not want the object for itself. You want it because you believe a competitor is about to seize it. This triggers a competitive arousal state that blinds you to the fundamental economics of the transaction. But here is the cynicism of the code. The rival is a ghost. The 14 users are often not humans. They are scripts, echoes, or aggregated data points from the last month compressed into the present moment to simulate a frenzy. You are bidding against a phantom. The interface creates a hallucination of a crowded marketplace to stampede you into a decision. It is the digital equivalent of a shill in a street game, planted to feign interest and draw the mark into the bet. By convincing you that you are in a race, the system justifies your haste. Speed feels like a tactical necessity rather than a strategic error. The most audacious application of this protocol is the concept of digital scarcity. In the physical realm, scarcity is a law of thermodynamics. There's only so much gold, so much land, so much oil. In the digital realm, scarcity is a design choice. The marginal cost of replicating a PDF, a video course, or a software license is effectively zero. The supply is infinite. Yet, we see digital storefronts claiming only 50 spots available or enrollment closes at midnight. This is the imposition of feudal physics onto a quantum economy. It is an artificial rationing of abundance to maintain pricing power. By capping the supply of a non-finite good, the vendor creates a velvet rope effect. The exclusion creates the value. If everyone can have it, nobody wants it. If only a few can have it, it becomes a status marker. This is alchemy in reverse. They're taking gold, the infinite reproducibility of digital assets, and turning it into limited inventory to manipulate the demand curve. The low stock warning on a digital item is a lie so profound it borders on surrealism, yet it is accepted as a standard convention of e-commerce. It triggers the hoarding instinct in a post-scarcity environment. You're essentially stockpiling air because someone told you the atmosphere is running out. The financial implications of this psychological manipulation are not trivial. They're structural. We must quantify the urgency tax. When a consumer operates under the influence of artificial scarcity, their price sensitivity collapses. The brain, flooded with norepinephrine, shifts from an analytical mode, comparing features, checking competitors, assessing long-term utility, to an execution mode. The objective shifts from getting the best value to securing the target. Studies in behavioral finance suggest that this state of arousal can suppress price sensitivity by significant double-digit percentages. You're not just buying things you don't need. You're paying a premium for the privilege of relieving the stress the seller created. Over the course of a lifetime, this inability to pause and compare creates a massive wealth transfer from the household sector to the corporate sector. It is a death by 1,000 cuts, where each cut is a hurried transaction made in a state of low-level panic. The consumer who cannot wait is the consumer who cannot accumulate capital. Patience is the only arbitrage opportunity available to the retail buyer, and the entire ecosystem is designed to strip that asset from you. Consider the flash sale model. This is the institutionalization of volatility. By creating erratic, unpredictable pricing windows, brands train consumers to monitor their channels obsessively. It creates a Pavlovian response where the notification bell triggers a dopamine hit. This is not commerce. It is operant conditioning. The consumer is trained to react to the signal, not the need. The purchase becomes a reflex, a way to close the loop opened by the marketing message. The deal is often a mirage. The price was inflated weeks prior only to be slashed to a discount that represents the true market value. But the context of the flash sale creates a suspension of critical faculties. The fear of missing the window overrides the suspicion that the window was painted on the wall. This is how you sell inventory that is essentially dead weight. You disguise the clearance sale as an exclusive event. You frame the garbage as gold by telling the mark they only have 10 minutes to take it. This system relies on the asymmetry of information. The seller knows the true inventory levels. The seller knows the algorithmic triggers. The seller knows the elasticity of your demand. You know nothing. You see only the interface, which is a curated reality. You're playing poker against a dealer who can see your cards, control the deck, and change the rules of the hand while the chips are in the air. The one room left warning is a classic example of informational omission. One room left at this specific price point, allocated to this specific third-party aggregator. under these specific cancellation terms.